Welcome to part 24 of the 2018 NFL Draft in Review. Today we will be looking at the Chicago Bears. And the 2018 Chicago Bears draft class is one that I pretty much had pegged right on the dot. Roquan Smith is the only one that's really turned into anything of substantial use. Some other guys are still around, still starting, but they're not really impact players, best I can tell. So we will start off with 8th pick linebacker Roquan Smith. And I get the Bears got themselves into some trouble with cap space, but not re-signing this guy was a frankly pathetic move. Just how in the fuck do you screw this up? He's played damn near every game possible in his career, started most of that too. Just put up obscene numbers. He's one of the best inside linebackers in the game from the standpoint of tackles. He's not as useless in the pass rushing game as some other inside linebackers are. He's good at getting the pass deflections. Usually has at least one interception every year. He's pretty decent at returning those for his position as well. It's just Chicago. If you were gonna tank, you should have traded this guy like 2 years ago. You traded him at the point where if you do this right, you'll be turning it around, and now you don't have a defensive superstar. So I really don't get what the hell they were doing, but let's see some highlights from this season where he was eventually traded to the Ravens.
Lance stands in, goes down. Dominique Robinson was there first. Roquan Smith finished him off. 4th down. It's given time. That's tipped and incomplete off of the hands of Smith. Boy, trying to thread it through there into the.
I get this was in the rain, but 49ers fans, come on, just accept that Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Trey Lance, please.
Quickness on the offensive line. You've got to be quick if you're going to block Roquan Smith because you're.
Mills rolling right, looking back the other way. A screen for the tight end Brown. Brown with a cutback move, and he's going to be short of. Continue to ride Pierce. Oh, and a big hit by Roquan Smith. 3rd down and 1. Pierce caught from behind. Roquan Smith everywhere today. Soldier Field on 3rd and 1. Mills pass deflected, intercepted. Roquan Smith and Mills.
Barkley again, hit in the backfield. Roquan Smith.
It's the snap here. Here comes the blitz. And he avoids it for the moment, but then.
That's not what the Patriots expected. Zappi is brought down. Roquan 20 as a result. Zappi passes in the air and intercepted by Smith. Tipped at the line. Roquan Smith with another takeaway.
We have some breaking news from the NFL where the Chicago Bears linebacker.
And for 2nd and 5th round picks, are you fucking kidding me? If you want to know why the Bears have not been good since George Halas had influence in this team, this is the kind of shit of why. The people that the McCaskies hire are absolute fucking morons. A 2nd and a 5th for one of the best linebackers in the game. That is disrespect. That's the sort of trade that makes me hope the team that made it ends up paying for it. But overall, like I said, this guy is just a very, very good linebacker. The Ravens, yeah, they've got some troubles in terms of who they want to pay, but if they're smart, they'll keep Roquan around. So, the next selection we have James Daniels, one of the other players who has largely been a starter through a good chunk of his career. but it's been for a lot of teams that are not exactly well renowned for having particularly good offensive lines, so I'm just kind of waiting for the bottom to fall out on this one. It is kind of telling to me when I can't really find anything to watch for a guy who's basically been a career starter over 5 seasons. That says to me there's nothing particularly special about this player. He's been a piece of the offensive line for 2 teams that have been pretty notorious for letting the quarterback and running back get absolutely slaughtered. So, not a lot to say, but as long as he's with Pittsburgh, he'll probably continue to start, as the Steelers do not seem to have any real intention of fixing that offensive line. Next, we have wide receiver Anthony Miller, and I would say that Miller is one of those ones who has had his shot as well. Yeah, as we see, kind of peaks in his second year here, 656 receiving yards, then it just goes down, and then the bottom just kind of falls out in places that you'd think it really wouldn't have happened. You know, Houston needed receiver help in 2021. They still need it. Pittsburgh has a good stock of receivers, but no one's really set themselves ahead of the game, so it's hard to see how a receiver couldn't establish himself there. So overall, this was another one of those. This was a very early on, I would say, considering the results, maybe overdrafted a little bit. And it didn't really end up working out. So it moves along to their 4th round selection. Linebacker Joel Igbunwe is my best stab at pronouncing that name. He hasn't really seen the field very much since he left Chicago. He's largely a backup sort of player. Doesn't really do a whole lot when he gets on the field. To see 31 tackles, forced fumble and a pass deflection, but that's about it. So this one I had pretty figured. I wasn't very impressed looking at him coming out of college. And that's been about how things have gone with him. So next we have defensive tackle Bilal Nichols. And this is basically the other starter from this team, but as you notice, I don't have any highlight reels up for this guy, so that should tell you a little bit that in spite of starting the majority of games the past 4 years, he really doesn't do anything particularly special. Sometimes he'll get in the right position to drop on a fumble, sometimes he'll get to the quarterback, but other than that, he just doesn't seem to be a particularly special defensive tackle / defensive end. Honestly, it seems like he gets worse when they push him over to defensive end. So, this is one of those minor pieces that, if you have him, sure, maybe you like to keep him, but as soon as you can get an upgrade, you pretty much do. The Bears didn't keep him. I would only expect the Raiders to keep him because that defense is a joke. So we'll move along back to the next selection, defensive end Kylie Fitts. Fitts is one that's basically done absolutely nothing in his career. He's been out of the league since 2021. Says he's retired multiple concussions cited as the reason, which is understandable. Preserve your long-term health. That's more important, obviously. But just another one of those late-round picks that just didn't go anywhere, really. And the final selection is wide receiver Javon Wims. And Wims is best known for getting ejected in a playoff game. As he punched then Saints quarterback C.J. Gardner-Johnson during the third quarter of an overtime loss to the Saints in that year's playoff game. he's still around, and there is a chance that he'll kind of get another shot at prominence because the Cardinals are very rapidly running out of legitimate options. A.J. Green retired. Christian Kirk was let go in free agency the year before this one. And looks like DeAndre Hopkins is getting traded. And a lot of the other younger guys haven't really stepped up and made something of themselves yet. So Javon Wims has a chance, but we'll see if the Cardinals don't draft a receiver. So that's one of those very take it with a grain of salt. He's got a chance now, but let's see if he still has one by May sort of deal. So overall, I originally called this class a B-. I really only saw Roquan Smith as the only surefire draft pick, and I figured James Daniels, Anthony Miller, and Bilal Nichols would be, in essence, the other best shots for some actual productive players. And, well, Daniels and Nichols are still starters in the league, and Anthony Miller had his moment at least. So, like I said, I was about correct on this one. I'd say I would leave this about a B-, maybe push it to a B just because of how good Roquan is. But yeah, I had this draft homed in pretty much perfectly. So that is going to do it for this video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, follow me on Twitter, and I will see you next week for the beginning of the NFC South with the 2018 New Orleans Saints draft.